Alright, yeah! Thank God for fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown, and the show is called Redemption Rehab. Today, we're taking a look at those impact players to pick up on your waiver wire. So buckle up, get out your popcorn, and let's head over to the chalkboard
and check out the facts.
Okay, here we are heading into week 13 of the NFL football season, and we're taking a look at the people to pick up on the waiver wire. They're going to impact your team heading into the playoffs, starting with this guy. How about Devin Neal of the New Orleans Saints? Last week, he had 7 carries for 18 yards, and he caught 5 balls for 43 yards on 7 targets. Look, we talked about handcuffs to running backs back in week 8. We told you got to start getting some of these guys because it's going to help you later in the year heading into the playoffs. Well, Alvin Kamara, he's banged up. He's questionable. Probably not going to play this week. Who's his backup? Devin Neal. Hit that subscribe button. Why? Because we talked about him in week 8. You could have had him on your team for nothing. This week, he's going to cost you. You're going to have to pay big time to get Devin Neal. But he's going to produce. Who else do we like? A guy we talked about last week, Emmanuel Wilson of the Green Bay Packers. He's owned in most leagues, but last week he had 28 carries for 107 yards with 2 touchdowns and caught 2 balls for 18 yards. And I'll tell you what, we talked about this guy back in week 8 when we were covering handcuffs to your running backs. Who else do we like? I'll tell you what, we love this guy. How about Chris Rodriguez of the Washington Commanders? He was on bye last week. He's going to have a good end of the season. This is a guy I'd go out and pick up, put him on my lineup starting this week against the Denver Broncos. It's a good defense, so I'm not sure what you can expect to get. Who else do we like? How about this running back? Trey Benson of the Arizona Cardinals. Look, this guy's been on IR since week 5. But he had meniscus surgery. He's coming back. He's been in the 21-day window on IR, which means he's coming back soon. I think he comes back this week. I'm not sure how good he'll do, but I'll tell you what, I'd pick him up, put him on my bench. Why? Because I think he'll produce at the end of the year, help you win a championship. Who else do we like at running back? Got to know about this guy, Keaton Mitchell. He's the handcuff to Derrick Henry. If anything happens to Derrick Henry, Keaton Mitchell's the guy that's going to get the playing time. And if you have Derrick Henry on your team, you better know who Keaton Mitchell is, because that guy's going to light it up. Say yourself you need a tight end? We got some tight ends for you. We got some great picks, starting with this guy. How about Brenton Strange of the Jacksonville Jaguars? He's only owned in 20% of fantasy football leagues. Last week, he had 5 catches for 93 yards on 5 targets. He's coming off IR, meaning he didn't play the last 4 or 5 weeks, but he was doing well before that. He came back strong. Go out, pick him up, put him in your lineup. We've been talking about the Los Angeles Rams tight end situation. We told you somebody was going to break out for weeks. Hit that subscribe button. We think it's this guy. How about Colby Parkinson of the Los Angeles Rams? He had 4 catches for 41 yards with a touchdown, and it's the 3rd week in a row that he scored a touchdown. Go out, pick up Colby Parkinson, and if you need a tight end, put him in there. If not, stick him on your bench. Who else do we like up tight end? How about this guy? I'll tell you what, you got to like yourself some Gunnar Helm from the Tennessee Titans. He had 6 catches for 51 yards on 7 targets. He's only owned in 2% of fantasy football leagues. Gunnar Helm's picking up the slack at tight end. Go out, pick him up, put him on your bench. Who else do we like? How about this guy? Maybe you need a wide receiver. How about Jaden Higgins for the Houston Texans? Last week he had 4 catches for 38 yards and a touchdown on 9 targets. He's only owned in 25% of fantasy football leagues. We've been talking about him all year. Hit that subscribe button. People should pick him up. He's a rookie. We talked about it in an NFL Draft Preview show. He's going to be a superstar in this league. Go out, get him, put him in your lineup this week. Who else do we like this week? Well, I'll tell you what. We told you last week to go out and get Andre Iosivas from the Cincinnati Bengals. He's only owned in 25% of fantasy football leagues. He led the Cincinnati Bengals in receiving yards and receptions. with 4 catches for 61 yards, and he ran the ball once for 5 yards. Look, T. Higgins is out. Jamar Chase is coming back. They need to throw the ball to somebody. I'll tell you what, don't be surprised if it's Andre Iosivas. Who else do we like at wide receiver? Gotta like this guy, Christian Kirk of the Texans. I'll tell you what, he had 5 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown on 6 targets. Look, the guy's been hurt all year. Christian Kirk used to play for, Arizona, and then he went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now he's over there in Houston. Hasn't played all year because he's been hurt. Now that he's healthy, he's producing. Go out, pick him up, throw him on your bench. Who else do we like at wide receiver? How about Shamir Dyke of the Tennessee Titans? He's only owned in 15% of fantasy football leagues. Last week, he went out and had 5 catches for 44 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. And how about this guy for a sleeper pick? John Mechie of the New York Jets. Used to play for the Houston Texans, got traded. He's only owned in 2% of fantasy football leagues. Last week, with the injury to Garrett Wilson, John Mechie went out and had 6 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. And with the injury to Marvin Harrison Jr. down there in Arizona, how about Greg Dortch of the Arizona Cardinals? He's only owned in 10% of fantasy football leagues. Last week, he had 6 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown on 9 targets. This week, they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Speaking of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, how about this guy? Tez Johnson, another rookie we talked about in our NFL draft preview show. He had 3 catches for 21 yards and a touchdown. Chris Godwin's coming back. We'll see where he is. He's a veteran. I expect him to finish strong this year. Chris Godwin, until he gets to that point, Tez Johnson is a guy you want to pick up, put on your bench, heading into the playoffs. Hey, you need yourself a quarterback? We got those for you too. How about this guy? We've been talking about Jacoby Brissett from Arizona for the last 4 weeks. Last week, Jacoby Brissett came in and had 33 of 49 for 317 yards and a touchdown. This week, they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll see what happens with that game. Tampa Bay gives up a lot of points to a lot of people, and I'll tell you what, you need a good quarterback. Jacoby Brissett's the guy I'd stick in there. We need another quarterback idea. Maybe he's gone. How about this guy? Kirk Cousins of the Atlanta Falcons. Last week, he was 16 of 23 for 199 yards and a touchdown. This week, he plays the New York Jets. He should have a good game there. He's a veteran. Who else do we like? Well, why not Teddy Bridgewater of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers filling in for the injured Baker Mayfield? We also like Shedeur Sanders over there in Cleveland. They play the San Francisco 49ers. And I'll tell you what, don't forget about Mason Rudolph of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, they've got a decent matchup. If you need a quarterback, against the Buffalo Bills. We can't forget about Tyrod Taylor either for the New York Jets. He's in there now because Justin Fields didn't produce. So those are some suggestions at quarterback. Not sure how well they'll all do, but I tell you what, if you need a quarterback, beggars can't be choosers. Who else do we like? Hey, you need yourself a defense? How about the San Francisco 49ers against the Cleveland Browns? Or how about the Atlanta Falcons against the New York Jets, who aren't doing anything? And we also like these guys. How about the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders? The Raiders have basically given up. Look what Cleveland did to them last week. I think Cleveland had 10 sacks against them. Need a kicker? New Orleans cut their kicker, man. They picked up Cade York. He's a dome kicker. Wouldn't be surprised if, he did well the rest of the year. Well, anyways, that's it for the weekly waiver wire report for week 13 of the NFL season. I'm Buster Brown. The show is called Redemption Rehab. Good luck.